Now we're going to pay attention to the Koreas, spelled Korea. There's actually two of them, North Korea, and then the other one is South Korea. That area is actually a peninsula. It's got water along three sides, and it's connected to the mainland of China. For a long time, that was one country. But as time went by, they split into North and South Korea. So in the beginning, around the year 1005 BC, until about 3005 AD, China actually ruled that area. When China's rule stopped happening, different governments and things were set up. However, around the year 668 AD, one kingdom by the name of Silla combined everything under one rule for most of the area. One thing that they were famous for building was an observatory so that they could study the stars. When Silla's rule ended, other people tried to take over the power. Around the year 1400s, they started to have a form of writing that was called Hangul. You know, it's very similar to the Chinese style of writing with the pictures and the characters, but China has a lot. Korea limited theirs to 30. That's all they have. In the year 1910, Japan went to war against Korea, and they won, so they started ruling that area until 1945. When World War II was done, Japan didn't have the power. So what ended up happening was Russia, or the Soviet Union as it was called at that point, they took control of the north side of the country. But America helped out the south section of the country. So what ended up happening was Korea actually had two very separate countries, North and South. Where were they separated? At the 38th parallel. You know, when you're looking at a globe, there's lines of parallel. The number 38th is the one that separates the two countries. Along that line, there is a strip of land where it's called a demilitarized zone. It means that the army cannot go in there. The North decided to use the government of communism, but the South became democratic. So what happened was, in the year 1950, North Korea tried to war against South Korea and to beat them so that they could bring them under full control of communism. The UN, the United Nations, they supported South Korea, and America took the lead in that support. About the year 1953, the war ended. Was there a winner? No, there wasn't. There was no peace, there was no winner, no loser, simply nothing. The fighting just stopped. So from that point on, we still have the North Korea and South Korea as separate countries. So what's going on now? Well, it's still the same. North Korea is communist. and they reject all sorts of outside influence. They will allow some people to give food, but to give them technology or things or other aid other than food, they reject it completely. Then, on December 2011, their ruler by the name of Kim Jong-il died. So now his son has taken the rule, and his name is Kim Jong-un. Now, South Korea has continued to improve. The people there are generally happy and contented with a good life. South Korea, the land, what does it look like? Well, it has a lot of mountains. People usually will tend to live along the coastal line or near the beach. Understand, in that area they have a big problem called monsoons, heavy rains and winds that come every year. South Korea also has a lot of technology. They produce and trade, and they have a good economy. Because the North Korea and South Korean people used to be all one people, they are considered of the same ethnic background. However, South Korea has a lot of people. About 49 million people live in South Korea. 80% of them live in the cities near the water. The capital city is called Seoul. Did you see it on the map? In South Korea, they have 3 major religions: Buddhism, Confucianism, and Christianity. China actually had a big influence over the Koreas as far as their culture. Also, they have a special practice called martial arts. You know, you've seen it in movies where the guys will fight and kick around. That's called Taekwondo. Now, how does South Korea compare to North Korea? Who's bigger? The North Korea area, land-wise, is actually bigger. North Korea is right under China, and what separates them is a river called the Yalu River. North Korea's government controls everything. Everything they decide how it happens, whether it's businesses, families, farming, the government controls everything. And a lot of their money gets dedicated to the army. So what happens as a result is that the people who live there are not rich, they're very poor. Also, businesses, their equipment, their things that they use is very old, and there's generally not enough power to keep the business running. Did you see that picture of the map? The southern area where the lights were, and then the northern area is completely dark. That's North Korea. So North Korea, the land itself is about 60% forest. Farming is only a little bit, maybe about 30% of the land can be farmed. And which means they cannot grow enough food for their people, and so the people are not able to eat. The word for that is called famine. It means they don't have enough food. People living in North Korea are approximately 22 million people. 60% of them live in the city area. The capital city of North Korea is Pyongyang. That's the capital city. It's also the biggest city in North Korea. When you go there, you'll see a lot of statues set up in honor of one man, Kim Il-sung. He used to rule the country in the past. So now, in North Korea, there's still a communist government. They do not encourage people to have their own religion. The people there are supposed to be fully dedicated to the government, to put it first, even above their own family and things they need for life.